So welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Brian Rist on Let's Talk Southwest Florida podcast. We're going to continue to talk to Brian, get to know him, talk about Sanibel, talk about the recovery after the storm, and talk about why it's so important to giving back. This is a big question for someone thinking about getting involved in giving back, but not knowing where to start. What would your advice be?
You know, sometimes life teaches you lessons, and things happen in your life that affect you. And whether it's somebody gets sick, or there's a tragedy, or there's something homeless, or what things. I'm not a big religious person, but the higher powers seem to say things to you at times, and it'll tell you where to go, what to do. And if not, you go to things like the United Way or something like that has more broader based things, and just go, whether it's through your church or whether it's through just going to we live in paradise. We spoke about that earlier, but yet there's so many people here who have a hunger problem. Yeah. The people at Harry Chapin and all the ones that are connected to Harry Chapin are on such an important mission in helping people. The thought that we live in the world we live in today, yet kids are going to bed every night hungry. Is just crazy. It's just wrong. Yeah. And so you just have to see what really matters to you, and there's no harm in trying 3 different ones or something like that, and it will strike you and do that. And again, it's not about giving money. I mean, if you can, that's always nice, but a lot of times that's not what it's giving an hour of your time. Whether it's helping somebody is getting a more senior person who just needs to be helped around to go to the store or something, or the food, or the animals. There's a thousands different charities. We have friends that do the animal shelters, and certainly that's an important part. And is that so? Just do something that you enjoy doing. Animals, people, feed, kids. There's got to be something that you care a little bit about. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a need for that in every part of our world. Yeah.
You've done so much, and I know that my involvement with Valerie's house, and this is not about me, but it's what you're talking about. And it's one of the milestones in my life, and one of the most important things I did and I've done in my life is I found Valerie's house. I found Angela Melvin, the CEO, and we had similar stories. She lost her mom in a tragic car accident, like I lost my dad in a tragic car accident. And I was so blessed to find this mission, this organization ran by great people like Angela. And I had a personal story. Right. And, I like you said, it's not just about giving money. When you find that, it's something that you're just drawn to, and hopefully, and it's passion, and it's advocating, and advocating is so, if you advocate for something, the money will come.
Oh yeah.
The money will come. If you're doing it right, the money will come. And, I was just blessed to find that, and that will always be part of my life. And I think people like you, and there's other great leaders out there that I've watched out there in the community giving their time and their energy and their money, but again, their time and their energy and their love for the Southwest Florida community, for those causes, and there's so many of them. But if you can find something like that, and everybody's got something, you just got to open your heart up to it.
Ears and all those things there. And you're absolutely right. And because I can't tell you which one is right for you. Yeah. But you can, if you think about it just a little bit, something will come to you that means something. Don't put yourself in a position where you're doing something you don't like or doesn't mean anything to you, because then you won't probably keep it up. But you'll know when you're at the right place. And you're right. Then all the pieces will start to fall in place. The money will come in. All those things will happen. It's not always easy. Some of the missions are tough. They're tough. I'm sure, and I've watched you, some of the stories at Valerie's house are just heartbreaking stories. Yeah. But in the end, the mission is what becomes critical. And God, what would happen if there wasn't a Valerie's house? And where do these kids go? And all those things there. So that's why, what's one of the many reasons why we've always supported Valerie's house. But there's something in everybody's life, and it's sadly often it's connected to a tragedy. Somebody has some problems with some kind of disease or something like that. There's so many causes out there that mean something. And then once you do it, I guess there's another old saying that says you don't have the right to complain about something unless you're willing to do something about something. And so, sometimes you have to do something, and then you have a right to say something about it. The world's not going to change on its own. And if you want to be part of a different world or a changing world, then you need to get off the couch and do something about it and get involved in those things. And that's what we all should do. I mean, life's really, really short. And if you don't get out and do something and try to, because, we didn't talk about this yet, but I really, really believe that all of our jobs is to make the world a better place, to make the world better today than when we got here. Yeah. And that's a big driver for, I think, most people. And I think it makes everybody's life a lot better. Just earning a lot of money isn't the answer to anything. It's really making the world a better place. In whatever your world is, it could be just a few people, or it could be thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. But I believe all of our jobs is to make the world a better place. And so you do that by getting involved in these things. And then it's amazing what happens. It's amazing how much happier you'll be by doing the things you do. I think you could solve a lot of problems if more and more people were in trying to make this world a better place, instead of saying, oh, woe is me. Yeah.
That, and there's backseat drivers. There's people from the sideline screaming, but they don't want to get on the field and do anything about it. They don't want to play.
Yeah, you don't get that right. Yeah. If you want to change things, then you need to get up and do something about it. And then take it, because honestly, they'll listen. They'll it's not that the group of us were all the smartest people in the world, because I promise you I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm willing to get up and do something. Yeah. And then that gets us to do some different things. Then a lot of magic happens and things start to change.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. You recently shared the Sanibel Recovery Dashboard. Can you tell us what it is, why it is important to you, and how it's helping the community after Hurricane Ian? And I just want to say that Sanibel has now become part of your life, because it's not that it wasn't before, because you did serve Sanibel and Captiva because you were in the storm protection business and helping those community, build with resilience in mind. But you've fallen in love with Sanibel and how magical it is.
Well, honestly, I have to thank you a lot for that. My wife always had this dream, and part of her dream was to live on Sanibel. Yeah. And we never imagined we'd get to live in the way that we get to live today. And so you're absolutely right. There's something about Sanibel in the water and all those things there that is truly magical. Yeah. And yes, we've fallen in love with living on the island. We've met so many great people, many nice people, and it is so beautiful out there. But Sanibel has some problems in that, it had, we had the red tide, then we had COVID, which kind of worked into our favor a little ways. Then all of a sudden we had Ian, Helen, and Milton, and it got beaten up really pretty bad, both in its beauty and in its economy. Yeah. And a lot of the people that were living on Sanibel just didn't want to go through rebuilding Sanibel. Yeah. And so a lot of the older generation have actually left Sanibel, and it's created. You guys are in the real estate business, but there's more houses for sale in Sanibel right now than probably in any time in a long time in history. It's like 10 times the amount of doing it. And then one of the things that makes Sanibel so special and so quaint is it has a lot of small businesses out there, that it doesn't have a lot of franchises and those things out there. They're mostly mom and pop selling T-shirts and art and different trinkets and shells and things like that, and which makes it a really cool place to go to. But they're not super funded businesses. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden Ian comes along, and it wipes them out. And not only does it wipe them out, but there's no business on the island for an extended period of time.
Yeah, there's no people.
There's no people.
There's
You
no
can't even get
tourism.
on the island, and
Yeah.
there's no tourism. So it created a lot of problems for all these businesses. And so the government came in and helped them a little bit. Then all of a sudden, here comes Helen and Milton. And then it was bang, bang. And they got hit by 3 pretty big punches in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these businesses are having a hard time recovering. We're just ending the season now, and they had some of them had an okay season, but now we're in the off season again. And I got involved in an organization called CFI, Charitable Foundation of the Island, and we started to look at the businesses on the island, and we started to put a little loan program together to help some of those businesses, a grant program to help some of these businesses. And we'd go to them and we'd say, okay, show us your financials, show us your business plan, and most of these people didn't have any of that or didn't have any real solid things, and so they just get up every morning, and they were great people and talented artists, but they didn't have a lot of business experience behind them. And so once the storms happened, they have a hard time doing that. So we're working hard on trying to help those businesses to get recovered in a lot of different ways, through education, to a bunch of different things, tying the university in with the island. But we'd go to the government and we'd say, how's the recovery going? The government says they're going great. They're going great. Yeah, it's really great. And we'd say, well, where do you get that information from? They say, oh, we just think it's going well.
Yeah.
The world we live in today is all about data.
Yeah.
And you want to decide if you're doing good or bad, is you need data. And so we came up with this idea to create this dashboard that took all the really important data, the key points, like building permits, like bed tax, like traffic, like business receipts, and all the important data that you need to really decide how you are doing with recovery, and put it together in one place. And so we started with these Excel sheets, and they got really, really complex. We teamed up with people from the AIN Hub at FGCU's School of Entrepreneurship, and they use some AI tools to build this really cool dashboard that really tells the story, makes it in pictures and graphs. It shows how the recovery is coming, so that anybody and everybody can see how we're doing. And now we've got that, one of the things that came out was, okay, we're down 400 hotel rooms that aren't coming back anytime soon. Well, obviously that sounds like a big number, but what does that really mean in dollars? And what does that mean in trickle-down monies that were a part of the island? We learned that bed tax, prior to Ian, the city in the first half of the year was collecting about $4.8 million in the first half of the year in bed taxes. Well, 3 years later, this year, we only collected $1.2 million. Well, that's a $3+ million shortfall.
Yeah.
Well, where does that money come from?
Yeah.
And how to do that? And the city got some grants and some different loans and things like that from the federal government to help rebuild the things. But that's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
So we need to start doing things. It just makes it clear to the city council, to the government people, to all of us that, okay, here's some problems, here's some areas we're doing well at, and here's some areas that we're not doing so well at. Then we go and take other cities that experienced similar devastation and try to say, okay, well, how long did they take in their recovery, so we know if we're ahead of the curve, behind the curve, and look at other things, because it's not all of Sanibel's problem is because of the hurricane. The economy is a little different. There's different interest rates are different. There's different things. So we're trying to kind of learn that so that we can use data to help us see what the recovery is. And then, what does Sanibel want to be when it grows up? And you can't just be beaches. I mean, that's obviously beautiful. But, we don't have hotel rooms, so where do the tourists go? And it just starts to show us where so it'll help in the recovery of this. So again, we're taking students from the Davila School of Entrepreneurship and bringing them out to the island, have them help us to draft this story about how do we recover from a storm. How do we teach these people to be better business people? And how do we tell the government to, this is a problem, this is good, this is bad, and do those things there. So it's only been going on for a few months, but we're starting to gain some traction. We're starting to make some differences. And it's just trying to form this partnership between the residents of Sanibel, the city government, and FGCU, and trying to help, and really, because we're all in this together.
Yeah, like you said, though, I mean, we've lost so many people. The demographics are changing out there. The guard that's been there for so long, a lot of them are leaving. A lot of them have left. So that new guard coming in, and you are part of that new guard, that wants to, we've got our 70% conservation. That's not going to go away. The beaches, the beauty, the nature, the wildlife, everything, that's never going to change. Our bike paths, all that stuff is never going to change.
But, nor do we want it to. We're not, nobody is suggesting we go out there and build a bunch of high-rises. That's not the thing. That's not what brought us all there. But you're absolutely right. It's a different group of people. And what does that group of people want Sanibel to become? Maybe years ago, this is what Sanibel, the people who originally plotted Sanibel, that's what they were looking for. That's what they wanted. Well, now you have a definitely different demographics. What is it that they're looking for, and what do they need? What do they need? Do they need different kinds of stores? Do they need different anythings? And so we got to try to figure that out. Right. And so this is trying to get people, it's called Sanibel Solutions is the group, and we're trying to figure that out. We don't know the answer, but we just know that you have to start asking some questions and try to get that done, and trying to craft that, because we do need more people back on Sanibel. We do need tourism back on Sanibel. We do need our businesses to survive on Sanibel. And it's not going to happen by magic. It's going to have to happen by planning. And if you don't have a plan, there's another saying that says, fail to plan, plan to fail. And you just got to have that plan to go forward. Yeah,
and if we don't work together on this and understand that and change along with for the better of Sanibel and Captiva, again, a lot of the demographics are changing. That also too, Sanibel and Captiva is a very giving community for their own community. So now a lot of those people are leaving.
And so what's going to happen next?
Group of people come in that want to see Sanibel the way Sanibel's already been, but also change along with. So you get people that are coming in new that are going to, I want to give back to this community.
And that's a big part of it. The other part too is that Sanibel is an island, and it's different. It's a unique city. It's part of Lee County, but it's not Lee County. Now, maybe we need to, and I'm not suggesting we give up the city, but maybe we need to work more closely with Lee County. Because you're right, Sanibel has been a donor community forever. But now there's things that are a little different out there. We're not getting some of the revenue that we used to get. Maybe now we need a different share of the revenue. And then you have to go through Sanibel to get to Captiva, which is a whole nother part of the experiment and all the things that are going on out there. So but it just takes people to talk, not have closed minds, talk, look at data, look at some of the things in the world we live in today. One of the things we do with the students from FGCU is we use a lot of AI to drive different things. And some people have different ideas about AI, but used correctly, it can do a lot of research and help you with a lot of putting a lot of numbers together to make a lot more sense. And so we're doing that, and we have to decide, what does Sanibel want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Because before you know it, it's going to be 20 years from now. And yes, I live out there, and it's my home, and I love it out there. But it's not just me, because my generation is going to be going on eventually soon. It's what does the next generation want and need on Sanibel? And knowing that we don't want to lose the culture and the beauty and the uniqueness about Sanibel. We don't lose that. But we have to figure out how to make our world get better.
Like you said, what does Sanibel want to be? Well, Sanibel is what it is, but how do we get better? And how do we work with what we've gone through?
You need some, is it art shops and shell museums and stuff like that? Is that what Sanibel is?
Yeah.
Or is it more of a music area, or is it a more, is there some kind of educational things out there? I mean, you have a lot of different ways you can turn that thing. We don't want to be condo row. We know that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
But you can't really survive with just all big mansions. That doesn't make the numbers work either. So you have to figure out how we are blessed with a 70% ecological lands, but we still need ways of people getting around and resources and shops and things like that. So we've got to kind of figure that balance out and make it work.
I had a piece of property back in the day. I think I told you this. It's where the Nave property, and it's where the Bean is now. Mm-hmm. And that big piece of property and backed up, or it was in front of the government and police and all that and city government. And I was promoting it as Imagine. Mm-hmm. Imagine a place, and we were talking about the town center, because there was always a talk about a town center, and that's off that Palm Ridge area and where a lot of the commercial is, and we just promoted it as Imagine. Nothing like we were building some just arts,
right,
and music,
right,
and things like that.
And we have to. There has to be something. I mean, you have a Big Arts out there, which is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Could we use it in different ways? There is a lot of raw land. I mean, because some was always raw and some is because of the storm. It's going to be reshaped. And how is that really going to be reshaped?
Yeah.
So, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah. When you're not in a boardroom or on a campus, what does a perfect Southwest Florida weekend look like for you? Any favorite spots or routines?
I get to live on Sanibel, and I live right on a beach. Yeah. And when I wake up in the morning, I wake up looking at the Gulf. And if I'm lucky, I see porpoises. I can't think of a way that you could spend a day any better, any greater than just seeing the water and just relaxing out there. Now, I do love to go boating, and I do love to get out and be in the fresh air, and even just sitting by our pool or going to the golf course or any of those things I love to do. But when you're really, really busy, taking a day and just sitting out back and watching the Gulf for at least part of the day is a pretty special thing to do. We love to go to nice restaurants. We love socializing with people, and we do enjoy going to the different events that we go to. But waking up, grabbing a cup of coffee, and sitting out on my back deck and looking at that water is a pretty nice way of spending a few hours.
Yeah. Well, the term you used, and I can't forget it, is magical.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see that, and it's different every day. Some days that Gulf is very angry, and it's very, very interesting. Some days it's just beautifully flat and clear. We've been blessed lately that the water has turned very, very blue, and that's really, really nice. The beach is beautiful. It's come back, so it's I can't think of a better place to be in the world than that.
What's one thing people might be surprised to learn about you, something that doesn't usually make it into your bio?
So
that's a good question.
Yeah, I thought about that because these other questions we kind of always talk about.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't get in your bio, you wonder what. One of the things, I guess, similar to a lot of others that have been on your podcast, and that I don't talk a lot about, is that I've been working on a book for a couple of years now. And I'm writing a book, and it's kind of like what we're talking about here, about lessons learned along the way. It's really called Lessons Learned. And it's about the lessons I learned building a business, running a business, having life in Southwest Florida, and the good and bad things that happen along the way. And hopefully this summer I'll hopefully finish the book. And it's not that I think it's going to be a bestseller. I just want to share, again, the lessons I've learned with whoever wants to learn it from that.
Yeah. I think that's great. I woke up this morning. I was talking about Sandy Stillwell's book and thinking about Sandy Stillwell's book, but I'm like going, I wonder when he's going to write a book.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a great book.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
No, it's going to be.
Okay.
I think you'll have a lot of people reading that book.
Yeah, so that's something I don't share with many people.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Right?
When do you think it's going to come out?
I'm hoping I can finish it this summer. We'll see.
Great.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, when you've done all the things that you've done and built a successful business and given and advocated and been such a big part of the community, enjoyed life, all those things, you can write a book. Right. And there's a lot of chapters in it.
Right.
So you've got a lot of chapters to talk about.
Let's see.
So that's
fantastic.
Thank you. Looking back, is there a defining moment, either in business or life, that shifted your path in a major way?
I told you the story earlier about one of the key reasons we got really involved in giving back. I watched and learned about some people who did some things that I thought were not the right way of doing things, and all the things that happened to them, and just doing good things, and good things happen. It's just ways we decide to live our lives.
Yeah,
and it just works out so well, and I've been truly, truly blessed in doing it. But I believe it is absolutely when you do good things happen, or the vice versa of that. And so we just do that. I don't know that I can think of one time. I will say to you, and I think I might have said it earlier, I say to people all the time that I think from moving from the East Coast of Florida to the West Coast of Florida put 10 years back on my life.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would have lived the life I would have lived the life that I lived if I stayed on the East Coast. I think coming to Southwest Florida for so many reasons really made my life totally different.
Yeah. I saw in a magazine the other day, Forbes magazine, it was talking about the East Coast coming over to the West Coast. I mean, I don't know if we want, I don't want to say we don't want that, but.
Yeah, that's always a delicate balance. We need people to come here. It's a different demographic. I think historically, on the people who kind of populated the West Coast were more Midwesterners and other things and they brought a certain culture and style with them. Yeah. And then the East Coast was more the East Coast, Northeast Coast people moved down there. Yeah. They're different. But you know what? The United States is made up of a mixing pot. And so you just do it. And we just got to kind of, figure that all out. Yeah. And you certainly can't say, well, all the people on the East Coast are bad people. I mean, that's crazy. You know, right. So we'll see. We struggle with that a lot on Sanibel because historically we didn't really want to attract a lot of local people or East Coast people to come on to Sanibel. That wasn't who we were targeting. Yeah. But today we need people, and we need business, and we need money, and we need tourists out there. And, right now, personally, and I can't speak, I'm not the mayor of Sanibel, but I can't speak, but I think we can't really care where they come from as long as they're good people. They're not good creating trouble, you know. So we do that. I mean, do you want, 10,000 college kids showing up and saying, well, that's probably not the right answer.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. But, if they... Right now, because there's a limited amount of hotel spaces on the island, you almost have to have day trippers to come out there. So they ain't going to be coming from Missouri. They're going to be coming from the East Coast. And
this is the time that we usually get that.
Right.
And, I think you're going to see a lot of that this summer, hopefully. And we see those people from Orlando. All those areas are getting very congested. Yeah. And traffic and just, And
you bring up a good point about what you just said, too, is that, historically, Sanibel's not had problems prior to the storm, had problems during the season having people here. And that's all. That wasn't, that's where the traffic's a problem, all those things there. Yeah. But the season is relatively short. We've got to figure out ways of extending the season in some way so that we have business in the off season so the businesses can survive. It's very, very hard to make enough money in a few months and last you all year, especially because you could have a little bit of bad weather. You could have there's a lot of different things that can happen. If we can figure out how to make Sanibel more of a year-round attraction, maybe to different crowds, then maybe that's one of the things. we certainly need to look at.
Yeah.
Now, is that the right answer? I don't know, but we kind of need to look at everything and see what's happening.
We started to get a little bit more of that before the storms.
Right.
And then the storms kind of softened and slowed that up.
Yeah. You mentioned something a little while ago about the town center concept.
Yeah.
And something like that it certainly needs to be talked about again. Now, again, I don't know that anybody has the exact answer, and it is a little tricky because some of the demographics, or the people who vote on Sanibel now, are of this mode, and some of the people who are coming in now are of that mode or a different mode. So you got to kind of figure that out and try to come to some kind of happy
Work
medium,
together.
right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are very afraid of change, and we all understand that and respect that, but we got to make some kind of change to do it, or I don't know how it will be financially sustainable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with people like you and some of the people that we both know that are concerned and want to help, I think more of those people coming about, I think we'll make those changes together.
And I pray that that's true. I that's kind of why I do it and do it. And again, it certainly doesn't. I don't even know if I have my own choice of ways to do it. It's just I know that we need to talk about it, and together we can try to figure that out. There's a lot of people who spend a lot of time doing that type of work that we need to listen to and figure it out. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's been other cities that have had disasters that did it. Are they exactly like Sanibel? No, but there's a lesson to learn there.
Yeah, the Sanibel solution that you've come up with, and with the help of FGCU and other people, it's not about, there's a solution.
Right.
It's just working together. And how do we make it better?
Right.
That's the Sanibel solution.
And you're absolutely right. But you also have to have a plan. I mean, in anything, you don't run a business without some kind of 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan.
Yeah.
And Sanibel has to too. I mean, yes, we have to recover from the devastation of the storms. That's absolutely true. But that's not the end. We need to figure out what are we going to do to get people here, get business here, and what style do we want? I mean, if you're if you're pitching to college kids, that's one thing. If you're pitching to people from the Midwest, that's another thing. If you're pitching to Europeans, that's another thing. So you got to, what's the message?
Yeah.
What's the product you're trying to sell? And we got to figure that out. And then there's, are we selling it to trying to get people to come here and create businesses? We're trying to sell it to people to come here and buy expensive houses? Are we coming to people who just want to come here and spend a couple of weeks a year? Over the years, a lot of families would come to Sanibel every 2 weeks every year they did it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, they haven't been able to come for 2 or 3 years because of different reasons. Did we lose them? Can we get them back?
Yeah.
Or is there a new group coming?
Yeah.
How does that all work out?
Yeah.
So those are the things we got to kind of work through.
Yeah. Some of those people have been going to other places in Florida.
Right.
We need those people here.
Yeah.
And I think, when we get through this, it's a magical place. It's a beautiful place, and we'll get them back.
Yeah.
We'll get them back.
In life, the other part is, none of us are getting younger.
No.
Some of those people are not doing as much traveling as they used to do.
Yeah.
And so those things. And, you have a family, all of a sudden, you used to travel with your whole family when, to all vacations. Well, I know a little bit about your daughters. They're not always saying, let's go on vacation with mom and dad anymore.
No.
Right. And then, then they have their own families and stuff like that. So things change.
That's the way Sanibel's always been, is more family oriented.
Right. But the families that were coming here a few years ago some of them may not be in the same situation they were then. I mean, and now that the routine's broken, who knows?
We got to get them back.
Yeah.
So, and finally, if you could sit across, I love this question. If you could sit across from your younger version of yourself when you were just starting out with StormSmart, what would you tell him now?
There's a few things that you learn along the way that you wish you had known earlier. We spent a lot of time in this conversation about giving back, and we didn't start giving back until much later in the deal. And I truly wish we had done that earlier. the importance of building a team, you don't learn on day one. And that was something I wish I had learned earlier. The understanding that perseverance was as important as it was. I said to you earlier, businesses don't fail, people quit. And just understanding the importance of just getting up every day and swinging the bat, you learn over a period of time. I wish I had known that a little earlier in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Being involved in the community has been so important to me personally, and I believe to my success. And being involved earlier probably would have been something I wish I had done a little bit more.
Yeah. I think I'm the same way, Lou. I'm 57. I still got a ways to go, but again, finding Valerie's house was a big deal to me, and want to do more of that. I want to do more of that.
I'm almost 15 years older than you.
Yeah, but you can run circles around me.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but okay. Yeah.
No, but I've got people like yourself that help inspire me. And that's why we had you in here today, because you inspire a lot of people. And we appreciate your leadership. We appreciate you advocating out there for so many causes here in Southwest Florida. It's not about the just FGCU and the community college. It's so many of these great organizations out there, and the people that work under them. And you and I both have seen these people that work so hard, and what they do. And it's amazing. It's really amazing what they do.
Mike, we decided to make Southwest Florida our home.
Yeah.
And in that, we committed to Southwest Florida, and you only get back what you put in. And so we really wanted to, we really love it here, and we've been blessed to be here. And I am so happy that we're here, and I'm so happy to be part of all of that. I truly, truly enjoy what I'm doing and giving back and being involved and trying to make a difference. I really just wish I could get more people to get involved. I mean, you've been super involved, and as well as anybody, it's really a smaller group of people who are really involved in this whole thing. I really wish I could convince more business people, because that's the world we live in, to become more involved in giving back to whatever their passion is in this whole thing. And I think then it just makes the whole place a better place, where, there's, 50 people that are really involved in making Southwest Florida a better place. What would that be like if it was 500 or 5,000 or 50,000 people that were involved in it? And there's a bunch of people who are doing some really cool things helping Southwest Florida. You mentioned a few, and there's certainly more. But if we could get more people trying to help make this place better, I think we'd all be better, and I think they'd be better because of it. And so I thank you for all the kind words you said. I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to call you my friend.
I appreciate it.
And all the people that we know together. I just think that, again, I think I get more out of this than I give.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's the people and the places that make Southwest Florida so special, and you're one of them. So that's it for Let's Talk Southwest Florida podcast. I appreciate you coming in, and the best to you always. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.